morning, everyone. Good evening for those who are from the East Coast. Thank you for joining us. This is our January Chai and Just Chat session, the first one for 2021. We are so excited here today. We have our chai and we have our water and everything next to us. Hopefully, you are having your chai and getting relaxed to listen to us as well. So today, thank you. And the topic for today is words of wisdom. And we are going to talk about what does it mean to be wise. And we are going to also talk about is it something that is taught, right? So by the end of the session, hopefully we'll understand what is knowledge, what is wisdom, what is information, and knowledge, and how do you use that to towards action. And so thank you again. And today's session, of course, all of our Chai and Just Chat sessions are sponsored by Vendorship Inc. And today we have another sponsor, Dr. Xavier Roche from Chicago. So I used to know Dr. Xavier through American Tamil Medical Association. We used to actually volunteer together, and so from then he has supported our programs and has been a very a moral supporter as well for this for the Chai and Just Chat sessions. He enjoys our sessions and is continuing to be supportive. So thank you so much, Dr. Xavier. And his message is for today is best wishes and compliments to your noble service to the community, dear Nazeera. But Dr. Xavier, it wouldn't be possible without supporters and pushers like you. So thank you so much for sponsoring our session today. So just a quick disclaimer, we might have some technical issues. It looks like my dad has dropped out, but hopefully he should be back. We do see some rain here in Atlanta, Georgia. So if the transmission issues are, if there are glitches, please bear with us. But we hope to have a good 2 hours of discussion about wisdom. So today we have wonderful panelists in the East Coast and the West Coast. And how I see all of them is towards leadership service and towards action-oriented and transformational leadership. That's what I see from each of them in different ways. And so I would like to start introducing my dad, Engineer Sheikh Dawood.
Dad is the Vice Chair of Indian Red Cross Society in the Dindigul district in Tamil Nadu. Apart from that, he has done his civil engineering from, I just learned about it today, from Coimbatore, and he did his Masters of Public Health from Guindy Engineering College, and then he worked in Madurai Medical College as a lecturer for a couple of years and has been a very social activist and an advocate as well. So thank you, Dad. I would like to introduce you all quickly, and then I want you all to give a 1 or 2 minute statement from each of you before we start. Yeah. So Daddy, thank you so much. I've been the black sheep. I never listened to him, but ultimately nature works out and brings the people with good heart and souls together. And I will tell you that he has shed many a tears because of me. But you know what? Sometimes when you have to break the path and find your own path, you do certain things in order to make it happen. But ultimately, those who love you will always be beside you. So, Daddy, I love you and thank you so much for being here. We've lived a rough life, but hey, at the all that ends well, begins well as well. So next we have Dr. Kalaivandan from Kalai, from all the way from Puducherry, which is a district in actually Union Territory in Tamil Nadu. He's a dental surgeon. He also runs many social organizations. One of them is Tobacco Free Society movement, and then he also runs a Tamil group, advocate group for those who are interested in promoting Tamil language as well. So Dr. Kalai, we would love to hear your statement, and hope all your patients are well behaved with their brushing their teeth and keeping it clean. So thank you. Next we have Britt Morris, Bridget Morris, we call her Britt. And Britt, you have a lovely smile this morning, Britt. And Britt is actually an entrepreneur. She's a founder with the Healing Life Institute. She's a therapist, she's an author, she is a teacher. Above all, she has a very good soul. and she's out there to teach people to make wise choices. If Britt, I had only met you 20 years ago, but she's here. She's here to help out. She's done several good things, and I would love for her to tell us more at later point, especially how she's involved her son in her volunteer work and giving back to the community. So thank you so much, Britt, for everything that you do. Next, we have Dr. Maya Taylor. Oh my gosh, we go way back, she and I love what she does with the youth and with women empowerment. And Dr. Maya Taylor is an executive director for, oh my gosh, I looked at her resume. She's opening companies after companies that gives back to the community. I'm like, when is it going to, it was like, I don't know how she manages it, but she does it very graciously. And she is the Fulton South, Fulton Arrow Youth Council executive director. She has been a co-pastor way back in a church, and then she's also leading the economic development in South Fulton area. Apart from that, she also has initiated many programs and projects such as She Wears Hope. So you can understand from there that she's always spreading hope and never to give up. And with her lovely smile and the pearls, we hope you continue to flourish in everything that you reach out to the youth. Dr. Maya, thank you for being here. Next, we have Ram Gangaraju. Ram the man. Ram the man, as he goes by, is having almond tea. Wow. So Ram is a human. He runs the Humanist Factory. He's the chairman of Humanist Factory, and Ram is also a software developer, entirely from the computer science field. And he's also chairman of the startup accelerator and does a lot with, apart from being a software engineer, I know him more as a humanist. Especially, he's very bold and courageous in what he speaks out. He speaks his mind, definitely. I've seen that. And he promotes being a human being is more important than anything else. So thank you, Ram, for being here. And then we have Dr. Jagjit Singh. I'm going to call him uncle for one reason, because it's very hard for me to say his first name. He's also my yoga teacher all the way from Ludhiana, Punjab. Every Sunday morning for the last 4 months, morning 8 to 9. I mean, he has been that yoga teacher. Having been in the army, you know what that means, right? Like, you have to bend in correct, and you can't just run away without doing the right poses. So postures. So I've enjoyed Uncle's every Sunday morning yoga and meditation that he teaches us, along with his daughter Shalu. So Uncle Ji has a huge background. I'm going to just look at his bio. It's a huge. He is 72 years old. He did his education in New Delhi in 1966, has been in Indian Navy, and a 1971 war veteran, and has traveled to Indonesia, Malaysia, South Yemen, Nigeria, and has traveled to UK as well, Germany as well. He also joined believing in Maharishi's philosophy of highest first. He believes in teaching yoga and meditation to the highest officials, sometimes who make the major decision of the country, Navy officers, doctors, and all that. So in 1994, Dayanand Medical College offered him a job to help with de-addicting patients with his yoga and all that. So he's immensely thankful, and this is his message. He's immensely thankful to Almighty for giving him chance to help others who are not as fortunate and wishes to get the same wife and daughter, son-in-law in all forthcoming lives. He adores his wife, me too, and of course his daughters and son-in-laws. He says everybody should have what he has. So thank you for those great wishes, Jagjit uncle. Next we have Mike Roman. Mike Oh my gosh, Mike and I go way back as well from his service. Mike, though, seems quiet, but oh my, I mean, sometimes quiet persons have the highest accomplishments. So Mike is an architect, a business supply chain architect, as well as he's also a war veteran. And Mike has several good stories to tell us, some thoughtful stories to tell us from his experience being in the war zone. And also Mike is a part volunteers in several veteran organization, even in the city of Johns Creek. So Mike, I know I might not have done justice enough to bring your bio, but hopefully we'll be learning more from you. And hopefully I have got everyone. Did we get everyone's? Did we get the introduction for all of you? Awesome, great. Yes, definitely. So now Ram and Dad, just before we started the program, changed the whole format, and now they want to do a 1 or 2 minute statements before. So usually I moderate the sessions and I ask questions. So I said, you know what, let me, and you should, that's called adaptability. You should be able to adapt no matter when and how, and listen. I can say, no, this is the format, but I listened to them and I'm willing to change. So let's start with Britt then.
Hi, welcome everyone. And Nazeera, thank you so much for, including me in this wonderful panel. And, a little bit about me is I'm a Christian therapist. However, I'm also a brain health coach. And so something that's important for me is I believe everyone's unique and has their story, and that's what I love to hear. And just to hear everyone's story. So that's what I'm looking forward to, getting to know all of the people that are here with me today and learning more about y'all's stories.
Very nice. Awesome. Thank you, Britt. Dr. Maya?
Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be with everyone. I'm a simple girl from South Atlanta, and my biggest and highest value in life is to be a distributor of hope. I believe that love is the greatest force in the earth. And as we teach and train and love on one another, we actually become brokers of hope. So today I'm excited about this conversation because I believe that we're going to share just that today, hope.
Okay, so go with Dr. Kalai.
Praise to the Lord Almighty. Fantastic opportunity. Thanks to Dr. Nazeera for giving this wonderful opportunity to talk about wisdom. Generally, I used to discuss about wisdom teeth in my clinic. But in this session, I'm going to talk about wisdom. The fantastic panelist. Looking forward to it. Hopefully, we will discuss more and more stories and we'll get so many morals also in this session.
So, Dr. Kalai, thank you for your statement. Mike, why don't you go with your statement?
Well, thank you very much. I feel very honored to be with this group. And Nazeera, I thank you so much for your continued kindnesses. I wrote a whole page and a half of stuff here, but I'm just so grateful that I've had experiences that have allowed me to reach out to others. I have friends from the time I spent in Vietnam. My first duty station, we had 60 plus people in the comm center. I'm still in touch with 35 of them, including the 80-something-year-old man who ran our comm center. I'm still in touch with some of my childhood friends. I'm still in touch with some of my high school friends. As a matter of fact, one of my high school friends is a member of the Johns Creek Veterans Association. I have just been so very fortunate to have friends and the right kind of experiences that let me reach out to other people. And that makes me feel incredibly good. Thank you.
Very nice. How about Ram, please?
Hey all, good morning. She already introduced about me a lot, but my focus is going to be today on the humanism and how I became a humanist and how practical it is when connected with this world under the so many beautiful people around. And we all came. It's not a philosophy; it's a way of life that I've taken. It's a kind of a very tough job to get out to let go God and to get into the humanist activities and be part of this universe and connected with everybody. And so my focus is going to be the practicality of applying humanism to your life and how successful you are as a person and as a family man and as a friend. That's all my focus is going to be.
Okay.
So let's go with Jagdeep uncle, please.
I think I'm very fortunate to be in the company of so many accomplished people who are wiser than me, but not older than me in that way. I was born in Delhi, New Delhi. My parents came as refugees from when Pakistan and India were divided by British people. So I was born in my house. But, a midwife helped my mother to deliver me and bring me into this world. That I grew up in Delhi, and uh, I have had many opportunities to grow. I think wisdom comes with age and your interaction with other people, and especially when you have some art or some education or some training to be able to help others who have who are not as fortunate, maybe because of stress, mainly because of stress. I have met people with addiction, bad addiction problems, and being able to help them. I'm grateful to Lord Almighty to have brought me in this world and in the company of so many wise, beautiful, accomplished people.
Very nice. Very nice, Jagdeep uncle. So Ram, you said you're not able to hear. We could hear him.
It's very low voice. I can
Okay.
hear every one of you, but
Okay, might be. We could hear him clearly. Can you increase the volume?
oh,
If
it's
you can increase
100%.
the volume.
It's at
Okay, sounds good.
100%.
Okay, sounds good. So it's only my dad left with 1 minute statement. Is that true?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Because I'm a little tiny bit distracted because I'm trying to make sure people are able to hear us. So while I'm working on that, Dad, why don't you start your 1 minute statement?
Hi all. When politicians join together, they talk about politics. When the doctors join together, they talk about treatment and medicine. When the wise people join together, they talk about wisdom. So I am really glad to be with the group of wise people like Nazeera Dawood, Maya Taylor, Mike Roman, Jagdish Singh, Britt Morris, Kalai Vendan, Ram Gangaraju, like that. So I have another alternate name for this group, Octopus Conference, because octopus has 8 legs. 8 legs, like that here there are 8 arms in each other discussing about wisdom. So it is alternately called as Octopus Conference. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you so much. That was that. So my dad always makes these statements. So thank you so much. Mike, the first question is for you, right?
Okay.
The first question is wisdom. So wisdom means different things to different people, right? It can be a practicality. It can be offering good advice, awareness, acceptance of diversity. It can just be different things. What does wisdom mean to you? And how is it that different? How is it different than knowledge or experience, right? What have been the greatest sources for you to gain wisdom in your life?
Wow, that's a very good question, and I've thought long and hard about it, and I believe there are 8 pieces to that puzzle. The first piece is you have to have experience with some kind of learning. Um, and let me state this, I forgot to state this first. Not wisdom is not global. You can be wise in one thing, but totally ignorant in another thing. So I think wisdom is piecemeal, with one exception. I'll get to that. After experience, you have to have a situation for a specific job skill or act skill or art skill. You have to have a disposition to be in the right mood to learn whatever you are trying to learn. You have to learn to make mistakes and learn what those mistakes meant and how to recover from them. You have to have the physiology for specific tasks to make you wise in those tasks. You have to have time and grade in that task so that you can look at that activity or whatever from different angles and understand the full picture. And I think the last part of being wise is to be able to understand there's something greater than self. There is some deity, some God, something that is directing your activities and help you to become wise.
Very well said. Very well said, Mike. So, what have your major resources been? Any books, or you think it's your aging, that experiences?
Well, I tell you, I learned to be a soldier very quickly. It took me 9 weeks. Then I learned a skill set to be a soldier. And, there's really one thing that a lot of people do not understand about war. And this is a wisdom I took away from war. When I joined the Army, I joined to defend the people of South Vietnam. That comes from working with my grandmother when I was a child, who is a Polish or was a Polish immigrant. One of her aunts was interned in a concentration camp and worked with the resistance. She showed me box after box after shoebox of pictures of bodies at those extermination camps. And my grandmother told me, Mike, this happened because there weren't enough people standing up and trying to fight for them. Don't be one of those people. So that's why I decided to go to Vietnam and fight for the people. But I learned something in basic training. My education grew and I grew wiser because I learned in basic training we weren't going over there to defend people. We were going over there to defend the man on my right or the man on my left or those people that I was working with. Because we were working together, we were able to accomplish a goal. And if you can accomplish enough goals, you can help the people.
Very well said, Mike. Wow. I would love to understand how you overcome the challenges and all that, definitely. So, second question is for Dr. Kalai. Dr. Kalai, wisdom is filtered knowledge, yeah? And so every knowledge is not wisdom. You have to collect that knowledge to see how you can best use it. Who in your life do you consider wise? Who is wise according to you and why? And you can name a person, or you can say, these are, I know wise people have certain characters, or why do you think someone is wise?
Because I obviously believe that this nature, this whole universe, teaches lots of wisdom to us. So I personally feel we are learning a lot of important words and take care of what I'm trying to extend my gratitude towards them also. And so many, even what you can say, the surroundings, nature, the plants, the animals, everything is teaching us. And obviously, I believe that if you cannot attain the wisdom by school, you have to attain wisdom by daily activities from everyone around.
So, can you name one person whom you think is wise?
I think the great saint Thiruvalluvar is no more now, but I feel that he is the great person with lots of wisdom. He taught us so many things in Tamil. Some the last 1,300 they are taught anything about wisdom. I feel that I can name only Thiruvalluvar. He is the best person with all the
Okay, sounds good. Thiruvalluvar, who's a very famous Tamil poet, definitely he has given so much knowledge to the world with his teachings and conclusions. Dr. Kalai, what I'm going to do might be mute you and then please unmute yourself when you do speak next time. I'm just trying to cut down on some of the background noises that's coming out. Yeah, I'm still
Because
figuring out.
the audio is not clear. The talk of Kalei Vedan, it was
Yes.
not audible clearly.
Yes, yes, but hopefully when the transmission is low, it happens. So next question is for Jagjit uncle. Jagjit uncle, have your values changed over your life? Right? Many people decide at some point that they want to simplify their life. At 20s and 30s, it's all about big house and big job and big money and all that, right? So did you decide at any point I need to simplify my health, my life? Did that happen to you? Do you think now you have more realistic goals than you did as a youth?
Yes, I started my life as a naval officer, and Navy, Indian Navy especially, is a pampered lot. The government looks you after, feeds you well, makes your accommodation very comfortable, expects you to fight for the country. But soon after I gave up Indian Navy, I had opportunity to go to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi for training, and I think he was wisest man in my life, and he brought simplicity. He attracted only top level people. He was not attracting masses. He attracted the top level gentry, whether in Europe, America, India, anywhere in the world. He had 2,000 centers all over the world. And he taught me, just look out around yourself in nature. There is so much wisdom, there's so much discipline, there is so much organization. Nobody tells a seed to grow into plant and plant to grow into tree and tree to give up fruit. For so many people, every seed, whether it is wheat or maize or fruit or vegetable or herb, has its own intelligence without any coaxing. It grows and grows exactly into that. If you sow a papaya seed, it can only grow into a papaya tree, not into a mango tree or a banana tree. That is the beauty of wisdom of nature. And I was taught to have the sense of empathy whenever I talk to people who come to learn from me or want to take my advice. I was taught to be emphatic with them. Empathy is the first quality of human being to be able to understand others, their problems, solutions. And I was fortunate enough to offer solutions to many people. Like when I started, as you were introduced also, Marishi said, highest first. When I taught a general in army, so many brigadiers and colonels and majors and lieutenants and the lower rank people automatically benefited their creativity increased. When I worked with the general manager of a company, the general manager becoming stress-free, more creative, more empathetic, then the workers, the manager, the staff, everybody benefited from it.
Very
And
well
that
said.
has been my goal
Very
to,
well said.
thank you.
Very
Thank
well
you.
said. Uncle Ji, so do you, so at some point when we are in 30s and 40s and 20s, we think, what will they think? What will the society think? What will he say? What will he say or what will she say? And sometimes we tend to do only, we don't go after what our heart says or our mind says. Did that ever, did you think it ends as people age? Do you care now what people think or do you do
I
what?
ever thought what will people say. I only believe in what I say. I made people believe what I am saying is right. And most of the time, fortunately, most of the time it was right. I never thought, even at any age, at any time in my life, I never bothered to think what will others think, what do they expect from me. I only gave my knowledge, my wisdom, my help uh, to others. And
Okay.
in return, I found that, as maybe you read my biodata, the house I am living in is donated by a student of mine,
Wow.
free of cost. The land, the building, the painting, the electrical fitting, the bathroom fitting, the car I drive has been donated by one of my students, followers. And he looks after the maintenance of the car. I don't have to pay for its service or repairs or fitting of new things. That is
Very well
what
said.
I always thought, and that is what I taught my children and my students and people around me. Never bother for what others will say. Be good. Expect goodness.
Very well said. Very well said. Looks like deep respect for you from students, and you can see that from me as well. I have deep respect for you, Uncle G. I know I saw Ram raise his hands, but the next question was for Dr. Maya. Ram, I'll give you a quick second to
Yeah,
respond.
until this said, people say they're right. Everybody has right to express their opinion, but if they when they are saying right, they better have the evidences, facts, the truth, the results of whatever they're claiming that why they are right. If they present it well, we can rational, we can discuss it, we can accept it. But without having any of those things, if you can say we are right, it kind of shows that you're a little arrogant and you're a little bit, not does not care about the others. But what others think and what others perceive you is a different thing. But what you want to be and how you want to present yourself has to have all these things.
Definitely, Ram, and we'll discuss that as we go move forward. I think you're bringing in the skills about listening as well, right? So, Dr. Maya, let's go back to an interesting question. Can wisdom be taught in the academy? Because if they had taught it, I would have excelled much earlier.
I believe that life is a series of events that causes us to gain, well, we have the opportunity to gain wisdom. And it's also a balancing act. So, to answer your question, it doesn't just take book learning, it's experience, it's also pain. It's been once said that when you fail forward. And I like to add to that to say that failure is never lost, pain is never lost, joy is never lost, because just like an archaeologist, going back to what Ram said, an archaeologist digs for treasures. And as humans, we are all digging for the treasure of our purpose. And in order to get there, We actually have to dig for balance. We have to dig for how it affects others. Because wisdom, if you break down the word wisdom and you have wise, it is the ability to follow the best course of action based on knowledge and understanding. So to me, wise means worldly insight, sensitive excellence. And so when we are impacted ourselves through wisdom and we share that through to children, we become that example of wisdom. But we have to make sure that they understand it's a balancing act and it's all about being an archaeologist.
Wow, wow. So such a nice, great analogy. Very well said, Dr. Maya. And again, I would go with your failure is not a loss, whether it's in business or your personal life, professional life. I think it's a gained experience, and you become wiser with failure. So failure doesn't define you. It actually creates you to be better. So thank you, Dr. Maya, for such words of wisdom. Britt, we are coming to you right after my dad. Daddy, this question is for you. If you can unmute yourself, please, because I've placed you on mute. And Dad, do you think you're wiser now than when you were younger? When you look back over your life, do you sometimes ask how you could have made some other choices? Or what do you know now that you didn't know when you were young? And some of the other question is, do you have words of wisdom for the younger generation who's listening to you today? So it's a lot of questions, but I think you can do it.
But still we can answer. Actually, wisdom is the gift from the God. Actually, King Solomon, the Emperor Solomon, when God asked him whether he need wealth, health, or power, or knowledge, or wisdom, he preferred wisdom. When the God was ready to offer him wealth, health, power, and everything, he ignored everything except wisdom, and he asked God, "You please give me wisdom." So wisdom is given by the God. You know, the swan, the bird, it separates water from the milk. When you mix water and milk, if you give it to swan, swan will separate water from the milk. Like that, wisdom is the one to find the truth. Finding the truth is a great chance, but that will be done by the people who are wiser than us. And moreover, the wisdom is not according to the age. There is no relation to the age and wisdom. For example, one time, one Chola king, his name is Karigal Cholan, he was there in the crown. At that time, two persons came to solve their problem. In the king's court, he was there sitting, Karigal Cholan was in the throne. At that time, those two people saw, oh, this boy, he's aged only 15 like that, and he cannot be the king or he cannot be the judge. So they went back. Then when they were returning, he called them back. What is the problem? No, we want to see the judge, and tomorrow he asked him to come tomorrow. Actually, next day when they came, the same man discussed as old man. He dressed like a old man, and he gave the judgment properly. So actually, the boy was only 15 years, but he gave the correct judgment. So to give the judgment or to have wisdom, age is not the correct one. We all would have read Merchant of Venice. You know, the Merchant of Venice, Antonio was the merchant in Venice. He was innocent. He was a businessman. He was a merchant. He borrowed a loan from Shylock. Shylock was a Jewish money lender, and he was merciless, and he was very hard-hearted. At the time, when the chance come, when they could not repay the loan, he got the loan for his friend Basalano. For Basalano, he wanted to help his friend Basalano. He got loan from Shylock, and in turn, Shylock said, if you do not pay the loan in time, we will take 1 pound of flesh from your body. He accepted, and finally, when the court, case came to the court, at the time, Portia, a young lady, intelligent, wise lady, young, beautiful, and rich lady, she came to the rescue, and she dressed like a man, and she dressed like a lawyer. He went in the court and argued, saying that, okay, we can follow the agreement, but the agreement doesn't mention about the blood. You can take 1 pound of flesh, but no bleeding is accepted. Even a single drop of blood we can accept. Then he was the heroine of that story, and by that way we can use wisdom. And the Merchant of Venice, the character Portia mentions about the or describes the how the people can be wisdom. I worked in Saudi Arabia in one company called Al Suwaidi. In the company, there was the general manager YJ King. He was from Korea. He was a military man, and I always used to praise him. He had the presence of mind. When somebody approaches him, when some worker go and stand in front of him, immediately he will judge what he has come for and he will give the reply. So certain people have that capacity, that is intelligent, that is the wisdom. So just studying books or experience alone cannot give wisdom, but it can shape up. It can, give more brightness to the wisdom. But basically, the wisdom is given by the God, and the God gives the wisdom whom he loves. So money can be got easily, wealth can be got easily, education can be got easily. Wisdom is the sensitive thinking and the sensitive like that. In that way, we appreciate, we call the wisdom to be God from the God and not by ourselves by working like that.
Thank you, Dad. Wow. It's like you and Jagjeet uncle talked about empathy. It's ultimately empathy, feeling and being sensitive to others' needs and understanding what they're asking for. So those were great examples. Dad, thank you so much for the things that you taught, that you said that it doesn't have to be age. So basically, guys, if I'm going to gray, doesn't mean I'm going to be wise, right? So it's coming throughout the life. But thank you again. And the next question is for Britt. Britt, you help people make wise choices to live happy. In fact, that was one of the questions from a registrant. They asked, how do you live a happy life, right? But also happy has to be purposeful, right? So it is also about volunteering, giving back. I would love for you to tell others about what the app that you created, you and your son, the Love Forward, and what made you do that, and why was it important for both of you. You're on mute, Britt. Can you unmute yourself?
There. Oh, yeah. Um, yeah. So for me, um, I teach my clients. We all develop with our personality. We go through. There's a famous German American psychologist, Eric Erickson, and he surmised that we go through eight stages of development, every individual. So just like physically, we have to grow. Like a child has to learn to roll, crawl, and walk. They just don't start running. Well, we as individuals go through these same stages. And there's a healthy way to learn and an unhealthy way. And so during the ages of 13 to 21, you're really learning what your identity is. So you're either learning who I am and grounded in my purpose, or you're learning, it's called confusion. And there's so many just confusing messages in our world today, right? And and the interesting thing is with each of these stages that Eric Erickson talks about, you end up getting a virtue. So out of age 13 to 21, if a child really gets grounded in intrinsic values, then they get something called fidelity. And fidelity means wherever I go, there I am. And so the interesting thing is if you then go to the last stage that Erickson talks about, is age 65 and older, and you're either looking back at your life and you either have integrity or despair. So and the virtue that comes out of that is wisdom. And I just wanted to share that because I think it's kind of neat, and then it ties into why my son and I came up with this idea. So I was a single mom, and just from birth, it's been very important to me to value people's lives. I value my life, and I was trying to model that for my son. And so he was 14 and he's 22 now. And at the time he said, Mom, he said, we should kind of like create this app that it's like Instagram meets social good. And basically, it's a way for kids to be able to give back because we try to volunteer a lot. And one of the frustrating things in Atlanta is they don't allow children to volunteer. You're not actually having that hands-on experience. And he said this would just be a really fun way to help, kids be able to give back. So basically, we put together this app, and it was called Love Forward, and we partnered up with Hosea Feed the Hungry, which is a wonderful in Atlanta to help the homeless community, and Mercy Care, which is just another great organization. And then Arthur Blank, a great family in Atlanta, came behind our endeavor, and Starbucks and Arby's. So basically, what they said is every time someone posted a picture of just something that they loved, that $1 would be donated. And so we ended, it was a great thing. We did it for the month of December in 2014, raised over like $40,000 because we got over 40,000 posts. And it was just really neat. The kids loved it. And it was very successful. However, I'm a single mom, and so it started going that way. And I had my private practice, and at the time, that was the only campaign that we did, and it's still there. We just haven't, reactivated it. But it was really neat because it gave us a way to help the Atlanta homeless community.
So every post they would donate $1, or the dollars would be spent on blankets during the winter for the homeless community.
It was that, and then it actually had a ripple effect, so it started growing. So we actually ended up Hosea Feed the Hungry reached out to us, and they were in jeopardy of losing the 44th annual Feed the Homeless that they do on Christmas Day. So we were able to provide the funds to be able to actually serve the homeless community on Christmas Day, which was just so neat. Like, it was just all these people. If you had been with us during the time, there were just so many different people that were collectively coming together. And that's the thing that I love is if you give people an opportunity to give back, they step up. And so that was the neat thing about that whole endeavor. It was really neat. And then tie back into that, showing children that their actions really do matter. And if you're posting like love for family or love for, my friends or helping people, it was nice.
Very nice. Britt, one more question that I have that many people think, but it are hard to speak out or speak up. So when we talked about purposeful living, right? So there has to be a purpose of giving back. Many also consider that, hey, I have a good family. I'm feeding my kids. I'm educating them. Is that enough a purpose? Because once the kids are gone, then you become an empty nester, and they are like, oh my gosh, what do I do with my life now? So I want you to talk to those moms or dads who just think that raising a good family and educating their kids, that's what their life is about.
Yeah, so it goes back to that identity. To me, it's our purpose comes in living in the moment. That's all we have. Is we have this moment, and we've got these physical ages. However, we're all representing different, age groups here, different faiths, all of that. However, each one of us are showing up here. So if we're present in the moment, and I'm grounded in valuing my life as well as valuing everyone here, that's where purpose comes from. And it's how I think and how I speak and how I show up and having that compassion and understanding. That to me is purpose. The other things are kind of roles or, decisions. I'm a mom. However, that's not my purpose. My purpose is how I show up in the moment. That's what
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you so much, Ram. We left you for the last, but that's the best. So, Ram, my question to you is: some people find they get upset at the way things are and want them to be different. Other people find it easier to just accept the world the way it is. How would you describe yourself in this area, or how would you describe one should be in this area in adapting? And has the dimension changed for you as you are aging graciously, might be?
Yeah, aging graciously, and knowledge-wise also aging graciously.
Right. Well.
Yeah, I mean, when you say wisdom, the book that I grew up with, Bertrand Russell's book, Knowledge and Wisdom, it's a great book. Everybody should read it, I think. Uh, you know, I will tell you about my experience, and in that way, I think we can connect. Getting out of the religious has been pretty difficult, but as I aged graciously, aged knowledge-wise also. So wisdom is nothing but whatever the knowledge that you gain, put into practicality. I have masters in physics. I understand pretty well about the universe. I understand how it began. I understand how it's some of the stars are ending. I understand how Einstein has derived the equations. I understand what Stephen Hawking tried to say. I understand what Richard Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss has tried to put upon. Something is from nothing. How did it form? So I understand all these things. But as a human evolution, it's a part of the human evolution. Letting go of the beliefs is pretty difficult. But taking the society as a whole, like as it is also tough for the people, especially like me. When I let go of God, people kind of said that you're a moron. You don't have any proof, and you're defying the Almighty, and you will curse, you will go to hell, you will burn in hell. All these kind of things that came to me. I said, well, show me a proof. Where's your proof? Where's your rationale? Anything that is defying, any belief that defies logic, rationale, proof, evidence is equal to stupidity for me. I mean, that's how I perceive. I mean, a lot of people say, I mean, you will be alone. No, I'm not alone. There are 1.2 billion non-theists in the world. There's a 30% of the progressive in America, millennials, are humanists. I mean, Obama admitted to that in Bill Maher's show. If we have a representation in America, we will have at least 100 congressmen, at least 25 senators in our United States. So, coming back to your question, is it been difficult? Yes, it has been. But it's been peaceful? Yes, I'm very peaceful to myself because I don't have somebody looking over my shoulder or from the heavens. When I look at the stars, when I go into the mountains, in the night when you look at the stars, you are the other side of the rim of Milky Way galaxy, and that is the behind me. So when you see that you're part of this universe, of course you're part of the universe. We are part of the universe in the sense that we are something from in our body. The dust, it came from some of the star's dust, a dying star. So when you realize all these physics and all these astrophysical things, we are something special, we feel, but we are not. I'm just part of the entire human evolution. So, it's been difficult, but it's been peaceful for me.
So, Ram, let me ask you a question and give you my own experience. When I started questioning my dad when I went to India 10 years ago, he said, go back to America. People here in India are not ready for your revolution. And so, I went through the same questioning. I think having my medical background and realizing, life happens through mitosis, reproduction, and meiosis. So it's very hard to believe in something that I've not seen. And it's very hard for people like me or you to question beyond, because then we become singled out and isolated. So, Ram, do you believe in nature? And I do respect my dad's belief. I do respect everyone's belief here, because that's the hope, that's the faith. Um, um, but I feel like we have to listen and be empathetic and understanding of you. That is your belief, right? But we can't come and argue with you to change your belief unless you are ready to accept. So, do you believe in nature?
I mean, what the definition of nature according to you? I mean, the question has
Science.
nature has a question. And
So,
like it's a physical nature, like you're
yes,
part of the
physical nature.
universe, like you're
Yes, part
astral
of the
nature.
universe.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
part of the universe. But now what is this? Somebody from India, what's his name? J.K. Vasudev asked, what is that you're doing to the universe? You're not doing anything to the universe. The universe is doing everything to you. So the nature is doing everything to you. You're part of the nature. You came as a byproduct of the nature. We all came, even
Yes.
For example, 65 million years ago, Chicxulub meteor, if it's not happened, dinosaurs would have not extincted, and the mammals like us would have not evolved over a billion years, right? So I mean, or a million, 10 million years, or maybe 20 million years. So I mean, we may not be singled out. At the end of the day, when it comes to the rational thinking and showing with the proofs and talking with evidence, that's what matters. Anybody can have their own, decisions. Their brain can tell so many things, but at the end of the day, these are the things that matter. So
Definitely
I
right.
trust the nature. Belief in the nature sounds like some spiritual thinking. I trust the nature because I'm part of the nature. That is, I trust the nature because it is practical for me. It is working for me because I'm part of the nature.
Very well said. Thank you. It's been a tough journey, but I think we're getting there, Ram. Thank you.
I think
And
I
so
almost,
you're already there.
part of
Maybe
the goal kind of a thinking some time ago when I finished the science hour shows. When I announced that I would like to recruit science soldiers. I think if anybody knows Babu Gognini, he's one of the humanist activities. He worked as an executive director for Humanist International. He has been invited to White House as well. When I finished the humanism, the Renaissance revolution in Europe, we did the radio shows and all, and we did the science. We had 1,200 signups for science soldiers. Science soldiers are the people who want to understand the science and its scientific temperament and its application to the practical life. We have 1,200. Everything happened online. I mean, now people are using Zoom. This we they did 3 years ago, and Google Meetings and Google Training and Google University. We did created that.
very nice.
So there is in India also people are coming to know about these things. When something is raising up, there's always a counter raising. Like Buddha is the world's first humanist. 2,000 years ago, he said that let go of God. You will be relieved of all the psychological depressions. He said that 2,200 years ago. He has got more wisdom at his 30 years age than most of the people in India now today does not have.
Yeah, so different perspective, and thank you for opening up your perspective in this group. My next question is Mike. You have to unmute yourself, please. Thank you, Ram. So, Mike, today we see the storms of pandemic, economic catastrophe, sometimes racially motivated violence as well across the world. So they are all colliding with each other, right? And it's happening at the same time, and we've seen that. So, what will it take to navigate a ship through these thunderous roars and waters? Yeah. And why is especially wisdom important while going through these challenges? And also, does kindness mean being weak?
Oh, wow. Well, if I knew the answer, the specific answer to that, I'd win the Nobel Peace Prize. But that said, I don't know what the right answer is. But to answer the last part of the question, being meek means you accept. That's all. Yeah, you can argue with people. That doesn't do any good because you're never going to change anybody's mind. So accept their side, and then have conversations about your side, and then maybe you can meet somewhere in the middle. But there's too much hate right now in some of those groups to let even the conversations begin.
Very well said, Mike. You put it in simple answers, but I'm not going to let you go so soon because I want to make sure, that's why these conversations happened with Chai and Chat, because I saw exactly what you just described. And I wanted to see where can we meet people in between, right? Because I don't say they are wrong, but I'm sure they can all agree to disagree more amicably with respect.
Yes.
And you don't have to accept everything that the other group says, but let's walk with same goals of humanity. And
Exactly.
so, Mike, my other question is, So is wisdom important in these stages, or do we sit back and say people are not going to change their minds?
No, of course, wisdom is important. You understand your position through gaining the wisdom to understand what you know, but you may not know what other people know, and they may not know what you know. So are we both dumb? Do we both not have wisdom? I don't think so. That's why wisdom means different things to different people. Just as this group here, we're all defining wisdom in another way. But what we are all saying is that we understand where we live. That doesn't mean we should not accept where other people live and their beliefs. Oh,
Definitely, Mike. Finding the common ground.
exactly.
So the ship sails through without sinking.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, very nice. Yes, thank you so much, Mike. And the next question was for Kalai, Dr. Kalai, but I saw Britt raise her hand. I think she wants to offer a comment. Go ahead, Britt.
Well, no, going back to what Mike was saying, that hate, that's anger. And anger to me is really a gift because if you're feeling angry, it's an indication that something is off. And it's either this, maybe my perspective's off, or maybe my anger is justified because there is entitlement. I, as a white woman in America, I have had privileges, and I need to be aware of that. And like Mike was saying, so be able to sit down and be able to have conversations. That's the go-to. And when you have the anger and the hatred, you cannot have the conversations. And really learning how to serve each other versus trying to rescue, like how can we serve each other? What do we need, and come to that. That's the only thing I wanted to touch on a little bit, was that if we could just give people healthy ways to deal with anger, because anger is justified often. It's just you've got to get it out in healthy ways, not at each other.
Very well said, because
Can I
anger is an
address-
emotion. Yes, go ahead, Mike. I like
Yeah,
the conversations. Go ahead.
I like what you said, lady. Ma'am, I'm sorry, and I cannot remember your name. I have
Britt.
some-
Britt, no
thank you.
worries. Yeah.
But people think I have privilege because I'm a white male. Let me tell you about my background. My grandmother's family was interned in a concentration camp. My mother's family came over to America as indentured slaves. My dad's father's father died in a slate mining accident in New York, or excuse me. Anyway, on the East Coast. The brother married the woman because that's tradition. Is it a privilege to marry that woman, or is that what you're supposed to do? Now, so I maybe sound like I'm getting off target.
No,
But-
Mike, we want to hear from you. Definitely go ahead.
But when people look at a white man and say, "Hey, you titled SOB, you entitled SOB," well, hang on a minute, you're entitled to the same freedoms I have. I made different decisions to make me successful. You didn't. I don't do drugs. You do. I don't drink to excess. You do. Maybe you made poor life choices. So don't call me entitled because I made good decisions. Blame yourself for not making good decisions, and then let's talk.
So, you're asking for a common ground. I see Ram raised his hand. So, Ram, let's go to you. And then, of course, we want to go to Kalai as per our moderated discussion. And then after Ram, we want to go to Dr. Maya. Go ahead, Ram.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. Privileges don't have to be based on the looks or anything like that. Now, for example, I'll tell you a simple argument I had. You know, in India, you're grown up, and you're grown up in the Brahmin families, which happens to be for me that you've always been taught that yeah, hey, you're sons of gods. You came from the gods family, all those things, which is BS. I mean, same thing with the Jewish people who are taught that they came from the God, they're God's people, and the God told us they sent them to planet Earth. And I had an argument with this lady. See, why you're special? Well, we are people of God. Same thing in India. They taught to me that I'm people of God. So you're contradicting my existence in this universe. So which is not correct. We need to have, that's what the UDHR. I think most of you people know, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It says what the race, color, caste, or anything should not be determine your existence. You are a human being as much as Mike or Bridget or Nazeera or Uncle G or Maya or Mr. Kalai or Mr. Sheikh. All of them have the same rights and same privileges. For example, somebody came from the Proxima Centauri planet, their planet coming into us. What would they refer you as? Earthlings. We all represent planet Earth. We have the differences between us because we are living on the planet Earth, because we are the only living beings and intelligent species right now, but we may not be here tomorrow. Like dinosaurs, we may be extinct with one asteroid impact. We are done. We are vaporized in just 10 hours. So I agree with Mike. I appreciate Mike bringing that point. I agree with Mike.
Looks like this conversation is getting, actually, I should have named this as the topic. I'm going to, Dr. Kalai, we are coming to you, but I just want to make it in a very agreeable ending to this conversation. Dr. Maya and then Britt. Go ahead, Dr. Maya.
Thank you so much. As the only African American woman on the call today, I want to share something. I was thinking recently why there's so much turmoil. I think we're actually in our world in a great place to be. It's kind of like you ever had a sore and you pour peroxide on it and it bubbles up, and that bubble tells you that there's an infection in there? We have an infection in our world. And it's a good thing that it's starting to come up, right? The blame game never works. But what does work is when we realize that each person in the earth has value. Every last one of us has value. I think it was your father and your uncle that talked about empathy. See, empathy, love, they're strong. Hate can be strong, but love covers it all, right? And what I think, if we think about even the pandemic, right? It's taking the oxygen away from people. When George had the knee on his neck, he said he couldn't breathe. If you think about these two, it's kind of dynamic that these two instances are happening at the same time. The crime in the street, the crime at the Capitol, everything is chaotic because there has been hydrogen peroxide poured on a very bad sore. And it's time for us to have these kind of conversations with the intent of realizing that we're all here and we all must learn to live together and value one another. So I just wanted to share that. It's all about valuing one another. That's the highest value. I love how Britt said, when you show up, fidelity. I show up, right? So if I show up, don't discount me showing up, no matter who I am. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
Very well said. Thank you, Dr. Maya. I'm just gonna create a clip of what you just said and put it out separately out there. Thank you.
Yeah, if I may add to Maya's statement, she said that she's the only one here, but we are all with you, and our all roots came from Africa. If you go back maybe 300,000 to 500,000 years ago, We had only one mother. We all came from one mother. So if everybody understand that rule, like Lucy or I mean, if anybody understand that DNA roots or mitochondrial DNA, where it came from, your perspective of this world would entirely change forever. That
Definitely.
is more spiritual to me than anything else.
Definitely, Ram. And I would like to go to Brit, and then I want to go back to our questions
Yeah.
with Dr.
No.
Kalai. I want the dental surgeon to talk about wisdom tooth as well. Go ahead, Brit.
Right. Well, no, and I just wanted to clarify that when I say entitlement, I'm not saying that we don't have struggles. What I was meaning, I was born in Atlanta in 1970. And so I have seen that I had opportunities just because, I had a better school system. Um, that just because someone that was my same age was African American in the term didn't. So I understand where there is some anger that is justified because I would be angry. So my whole thing is just if we could just all come together and get the anger out on your own, but let's sit down in a conversation and say, okay, so what's the solution? How can we work together? Because that was what I was meaning. Not that we all have struggles. I wasn't meaning that. I just do see. I understand. That was
Definitely. Very well said. Thank you. And completely relevant to the topic of discussion. Dr. Kalai, you're next. Thank you, Britt. So, Dr. Kalai, let's talk about a little bit of change of not topic, but context, human and technology. Yeah. So, in the future, do you think with advances in technology that surrounds us, what will the human and machine relationship look like? Will even humans be interacting with each other? What we just saw recently happen with COVID. What is the impact and formation of human knowledge? So basically, my question is, with the rise of technology, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, are we even going to see human interactions happening much?
It's to me
Yes,
No, it's for
actually,
Dr. Kalai.
because I can talk about that also.
I'll come back. Ram likes to talk. Go ahead, Dr.
actually,
Kalai.
panelists are giving lots of nice discussions are going on. Actually, I don't want to talk also because I'm getting lots of wisdom from them also. Anyway, it's a nice question. Actually, during COVID, this technology is really helping us a lot. There is no doubt about it. But at the same time, we should always remember because of this technology, we are losing the relationship. Lots of effects in the relationships.
Human
See,
interactions we are missing. Human interaction.
Yes. Go ahead, Dr. Kalai.
yes. So I think that after some years, everyone more than even in our town or villages, anybody wherever you go nowadays, the children are not knowing who are their relatives, but they know all the things which is present in the cell phone. What are the programs going to be telecasted in the television channels? They are very much bonded with the technology, not with the relationship. So definitely it will have a great impact. After another 20 or 30 years, definitely the human relationship may go down. But I think something has to be done. And as a doctor, you know very well, according to the WHO, the definition of the health is it's a state of physical, mental, social well-being, not merely absence of any disease or infirmity. So obviously, these technologies are doing all the what you can say. It is affecting the physical health, mental health, and obviously, it is mainly it's having the impact on the social relationships. So by getting the clear wisdom, first of all, the relationship should be maintained properly before the technology. That's what I feel.
Very well said. Ram, the next question was for Jagjit, uncle, but did you want to add a comment?
You asked that, the technology is going to be, the human interaction is going to be less in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Possible, because the maturity of technologies is here, actually. The human interactions, wherever the human interactions that are going to be there will be there. The non-human interactions, supply chain management does not need a human interaction. Shipping of the item to your home does not need a human interaction. It needs just a shipping company to deliver. That can be automated, the delivery of the these things, drones can be automated. The manufacturing things can be automated. Advising, for example, Love LLC, Bridget's company, those kind of a companies will survive. Their interaction is definitely important. Emotional support is important for humans. I've been going through some of emotional roller coaster for the last couple of weeks. I need some support. I need some let go. So those things will be there. What will happen eventually is that some of them things you might not like it. We can download the thoughts from your brain to your computer now. Another 10 to 15 years away. If anybody has a neurological disorder, like my son is autistic, he can have a surgery from Neuralink, which is Elon Musk company. You can check on the website. 75% of his problem will be resolved by having the neuron connections in his brain. So this kind of a technology will improve, our replacement organs. They'll take your cell, they'll 3D print your organs in the lab, and they will attach it to you. So your life expectancy might increase not just 100 years, it might go up to 150, 200 years. Unless if somebody has that much money, you want to live, you can live. So technologically, we are going to advance, but the human interaction, things that are not needed, will not get replaced by robot, or will not get replaced by AI, or will not get replaced by machine learning. So those things will be there. What will change is the commercial aspect of your life will change. The way you shop, the way you watch a movie, the way you connect online, but these things will change. These will
Definitely.
become more intuitive, more experience oriented.
Okay, Dad, I'll just give you 1 minute because I want to go to the question for Jagjit uncle. Go ahead with your comment, Dad. If you can unmute yourself. Can you hear me, Daddy? Can you unmute yourself? Okay. Okay,
Could you
go
hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah. One wise man said, for a man, it is easy for him to fly in the air. It is easy for him to go under the sea, but it's difficult for him to live like a man in the ground, in the earth. So we can fly, we can go underwater, but it's difficult to live like a man in this one. See, when we were young, we used to memorize a lot of tables. For example, people like us, when we studied there, we can give the table of 12, 13, 14, 16, up to 16, 17 tables we can. But now for each and everything, we need a computer or the calculator like that. The days will come, we will improve in the technology, but the humanity may not be there. Definitely there will be some. There may be a day in which the son may be difficult to recognize the father, and father may be difficult to recognize the son, because they will be highly technological and they will be with the work only, not the relationship. So even though we improve in the technology, but our human relation is affected due to that improvement.
Very nice.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dad. Thank you, Daddy. Mike, Jagjit uncle, we are coming to you definitely, and I'm giving you more time. Mike, go ahead because you have raised your hand.
I just wanted to say, I see where your wisdom comes from.
Thank you. I was planning to ask who's your favorite daughter, but I'm not going to do it in front of everyone. So Jagjit uncle, your next question is, let's talk about again continuing the technology language, right? So it's very hard for even my kids or any kids to put the device down and go for a walk or let's read a book, right? Which are healthy choices. How do you teach young people, or how do you awaken, Uncle G, young people that they need to live in real life outside of their cell phones?
Yes, technology has definitely overtaken creativity, has overtaken relationship, the warmth. But it is important at the same time. It has taken us to moon from medieval ages, only technology. People can get treated for very serious disease. We have been able to overcome this pandemic only because of technology. But what must be understood is that not at the cost of human relationships. We live like we must be live, be an exponent. We should live like an exponent. The young people, yes, it is very difficult to turn them away from their mobiles and their foolish, foolish technologies for which they waste a lot of time. I try to bring young, especially young people, to meditation or to sit alone and think that there is a power which is infusing life. Where does life come from? After we are all alive. But can we pinpoint where is our life? Every cell. You see, the science continues to defy itself. There was one time when the science said matter and energy are two different things and cannot be interchangeable. The same science started to say, oh yes, matter can be turned into energy, energy into matter. The same science said atom is the subtlest particle. But a few years later, they said, no, there are nuclear, there are
Protons.
electrons, proton, neutrons, subtler. That's all. But recently, they started telling their bosyons and fermions. The same science which is making progress in whole of humanity, making our life more comfortable, easier to travel, easier to talk, easier to communicate. I remember when there were in India, we had telephones with dials. Oh my God. And today I can talk to my daughter in States and in a matter of seconds. And the voice is so clear. I can even see the picture. I can even see my grandchildren playing. Their toys, the refinement of their toys. But at the same time, we all, young, old, everybody must spend some time with yourself. And whatever you believe in, you may believe in Allah or Jesus or God or Ramji or whatever. You may be even an atheist. I have met so many people who are atheists who did not believe in God, but they were such beautiful, gentle, kind, intelligent people. We must spend some time. We must spend some time. At least in Indian astrology, they say ghadi. The measurement of time was ghadi. A ghadi is equal to 24 minutes. So what the scriptures even taught us is that at least a ghadi, one period of 24 minutes or around that must be spent with yourself.
Very well
Not
said.
communicating, not talking, not reacting, not getting angry. Just I find this to be so pleasing. It's gradually, as you learn to sit with yourself and your thought and your mental, it becomes increasingly pleasurable, and so much pleasurable that you can give out this pleasure to people around you. Technology notwithstanding, yes, it is important. It is taking us, you see, as I say, to travel, to communicate, treatment, everything, manufacturing, production, selling, sailing. finding out about stars, their distance, light years. We can measure the light years, distance of light years for the new stars. But at the same time, technology notwithstanding, we must sit with ourselves for some time. At least Maharishi said 20 minutes. Give yourself 20 minutes every day. You can you can read scripture, read literature, listen to music, dance like a mad person, and enjoy that. Spend at least 20 minutes every day with yourself. You will become cooler, softer, easier to handle, easier to interact with. And that I think must coexist along with all whole of the technology. We, as me, as myself, as Jagdish Singh, as Nazeera, as Dr. Maya, Mike, as Mr. Dawood or Ram or
Brit.
dental doctor, man with wisdom tooth, and seeing so much of wisdom in so many of people in form of teeth.
Yes.
So this man with wisdom teeth, everybody can see. It has been a pleasure for me to listen to your wisdom today. And I'm really impressed. I never thought it was possible. See, and this is all because of technology. We are all sitting together and discussing our hearts out, and we can see each other. I can see this fair lady smiling so beautifully.
Brit,
This
that's
is
you.
because of technology. Technology.
Definitely, Uncle G. Very well said. So the next question was for Dr. Maya, but I know Brit raised her hand, and definitely it has been hard for me. At least I've been telling my 13-year-old daughter, when we were 13, we never had this technology. We used to go say bye to the train, people riding in the train. So we used to wait for the train to pass by, and we used to wave at all those people inside, and jump on trees and jump on fences and create pranks. And now they're just stuck with their cell phones, or so I think that the generation has changed and moved, and might be 30 years from now it will be more hard for us to anticipate or accept or adapt to. But that's what the world is. We have to just take it day by day or year by year. Britt, I'll take your comment, and then I'm going to Dr. Maya's question.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to touch on that because my heart is really to impact the children. And since you had asked that question, is I feel that we as adults, especially parents, we need to model that. We need to model not having our phones. So I am extremely intentional with my son. I don't have my phone at times, and I'm there present with him and his friends. So if I'm expecting him to have that same behavior, then I need to be doing that. And it's boundaries, really teaching boundaries within yourself and valuing those relationships. So I just wanted to touch on that because I get very passionate when I'm like, we can model for the children, what we're doing, because I think that impacts change.
Definitely. And Britt, I think one lesson I want to take is definitely what you just said. I've not been a good role model in that, and my daughter has said, "Look who's talking," when I've said to put the phone down. So that's something I want to be intentional about. So thank you for reiterating that thought process. Dr. Maya, if you allow me, can I allow Ram and Mike, since they raised their hands, to go ahead, Ram, but let's make it quick, and Mike, and then Dr. Maya. Go ahead, Ram.
One thing I noticed in the last 15 minutes that when we are talking about the technology being a distractor, more than technology is being a distractor, it's an enabler. Like, for example, this pandemic has given the opportunity for us, to connect well all the technology. If the pandemic is receded or decreased or gone, I mean, again, the human interactions are possible. But with the technology, if the same pandemic happened 100 years ago with the flu, Spanish flu, I mean, people were disoriented, disorganized, so they didn't have anything to do. But now the technology has actually brought us together over the internet for so long. It's been almost 1 year that people are stopped traveling, all those things. So technology is an enabler, but the addiction to technology is something that needs to be taught, that needs to be role model, that needs to be like, Bridge said, it needs to be role model. There needs to be, I'm addicted to technologies. There were some sleepless nights I had, but, I control and containment. This is all about the composure, composure that you have, the control you have. So those are the hard things to learn by. Well, that again, the wisdom comes into play. This is where the wisdom comes into play. So the wisdom has to bring the discipline in you and has to control you and contain you. That's in your control.
Ram, I'm not a wise person then. Thank you for letting me know that. So that I need to learn
It's not
that.
to put you down. I'm just telling that, it can take the
No,
wise
no,
words going
yeah,
forward. Yeah.
definitely. No, definitely, I understood. Mike, it's go ahead, and I think Dad also wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Sure.
Let's make the
Sure.
comments quick, so Dr. Maya
Yes,
can.
yeah.
Yes.
Britt, what I think you're talking about is being a parent to your child. You are imparting part of your wisdom so they can be better contributors.
Very well said, Mike. Exactly. Daddy, can you unmute yourself? I think you have a comment. Yes, go ahead.
Coming back to our topic, actually our topic is wisdom. Wisdom is finding the truth. There may be a lot of alternates, but the wise people will find the real guilt people, or they will find the truth. Once in the court of Solomon, two ladies came. They claimed a single baby, that the baby belongs to them. So each one, they said, this baby is mine, this baby is mine. So Solomon wanted to give solution to them. Next day, he asked them to come. When they came, then Solomon said, okay, both of you are claiming for the same baby. I am going to cut the baby, and which part you need, whether upper part or lower part. Then the false lady said, okay, whatever part you give, I accept. But the other lady said, no, 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 I don't want the baby to be cut, because I know the value of the baby and how difficult I gave birth to this baby. So you better leave, either let her possess or let me have, but I am not accepting to cut. Then immediately Solomon gave the judgment that this lady is the real mother, because a mother does not want the baby to be cut in her front, and immediately he gave punishment to the false lady. So wisdom is the one finding the truth from all the alternates. And like that also, wisdom is having sharp mind. Once 60 people, they had each one coconut, and they put them in a wooden bag, and with great hardness they were taking them. Once men on the way say, why you are struggling, and you can unfold the bag, and each one carry the coconut easily. Instead of each one carrying the coconut easily, they put all in one bag, and they struggled, and each one had a difficult time. So this is the sharpness of the mind also. Like that, in one time there was a judge, and two people came to the court saying that one rich lady and one old lady. The old lady said she had given money to the rich lady and she has to owe. But the rich lady said, I am rich already. Why should I get money from the old lady? Do you believe that I am rich enough? I don't need to get any money from the poor lady. Then after that, he asked the next day, the judge asked the next day to appear, both of them to come. He asked both of them to enter different gates. In front of the gate, he put some sunlight and mud and dirty water. And as well as one pot of water with one mug was also provided. When the rich lady came there fastly, and what she did, she put the mug into the pot and put all the water, and she washed her dirty legs, and even that she could not completely wash the legs. She entered the court. The other poor lady, when she entered the court, she took some leaves, dry leaves some paper and she wiped off the dirty parts in the leg and she took about half a mug of water and she washed nicely and still there was full of water in the pot. She entered. Immediately the judge said the poor lady is right and the rich lady is unright and she needs punishment because she is spendthrift and even though we provided water, this old lady she saved and she could limitly she spent the water, whereas the old lady, she is the rich lady, she is spendthrift and whatever money she is having, she will easily spend. So by that way, he found the truth. So finding truth is wisdom and it needs a sharpness of mind and it needs a lot of the education, experience and a lot of things like that.
Very
Thank
well
you for
said.
that.
Do we
Well,
have closing statements or?
we'll have closing statements. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you, Dad, for that. So and Dad is sort of bringing up some of the break. You know, you need a break while talking. You need to hear some stories. So Dr. Maya, the next question is for you. I think we touched upon it briefly about faith earlier. But tell me, how does faith communities provide hope and also sow seeds of love?
Absolutely. I believe that faith is to be lived and not argued. It is the greatest example of who you believe leads your life. And the way that we can share it is simply just to be. You know, I absolutely refuse to argue with people about my faith, but I am absolute about living it. And when you live it, you allow it to speak for itself. When you care, which is the highest duty that we have as humans, the duty of care, when you care and you exercise integrity and honor and character towards everybody, it shows up in the form of faith. When people see you in pain, I, for one, quickly can tell you, I've lost 3 babies, right? Before I ended up having 4. 3 babies. I've been pregnant 7 times. And every pregnancy, I was told by the doctor that there was something wrong with all of my children. I lost 3, but 4 of them lived. And each one of them, while they were inside of me, I was speaking hope to them, touching my belly, speaking hope, because I believe words matter. And so I do the same thing when I meet a stranger, when I'm in a business meeting. I believe my words can create. And so with saying that, I hope I answered your question.
No, definitely, yes. The faith and hope can continue. And you said what you speak is very important, whether to a stranger or to the loved ones, because sometimes they say these words can be heard again and again and becomes the truth.
Yeah.
So speaking positivity really helps. So the next question is for Britt, and if Britt and Dr. Maya can sort of team together on this question about empowering women, right? So once an empowered woman can transform the world, right? And it's about discovering and rediscovering. And again, women's right only happening in the last 50 to 60 years. Before that, didn't have any rights. But now it can be about work. You can be a single mom and still raise your kid, and you can be mentors, or you can work on books. You can write books, and both of you have proved that, and most of us are. So sort of managing family and career. And so, do we ever find balance between life and career, between work and career, or family life?
Let's go back to Egyptian civilization structure. Keep the mom as the head of the family.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where woman empowerment starts, right?
Yes.
That's enough. When you make her the head of the family, the judge, the sole purpose of the family will be served. The world will be completely different then.
See what you guys did. I'm going to take Mike's comment and then I want to come back and prove a point. I want to come back to Brit and Maya. Mike, go ahead.
I think a wise man lets the woman think she's in charge.
So that's me then. That's me.
I'm sure your wife is listening today, Ram. Brit and Maya, tell us how important it is for an empowered women to transform the world.
Well, I go back to I believe that every person has an important role in our society, in our family, and in our community. And if you actually look at the United States, our founding fathers, we everyone had a functioning role. It was within the house, the husband and the wife, or the adults, they were teaching, and there was not ageism, guys. Even children had roles to go and tend to the farm and to help. So everyone had a functioning role. The community had a functioning role. If someone became widowed, the community stepped in. So I love that is the one nice thing that I see coming out of this pandemic is people slowing down and they're living with intention and they're loving within the walls of their home. And I think for women, my message is you just start to love within the walls of your own home, which is your heart, and then spill that into others and serve those that you love, serve that with your life partner. That's real. It's the balance. It's learning to ask for help and everyone functioning, not us all orbiting around and trying to be perfect. That's not obtainable. It's being real. You know, we can look pretty with our makeup. However, most of the time, you know, I have my hair on the top of my head, you know, and you're right, and that's okay. So it's just being real and then valuing everyone.
Very nice. And Dr. Maya, if you can add to that, and we also heard that domestic abuse has been high during the pandemic time. So if we can address how and why it is important for women to be empowered.
I think that it comes from, if you'll allow me to quote a scripture, God said it's not good that man should be alone. I'm going to paraphrase it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure that humanity continues. So I'm going to give him an insurance policy. And that insurance policy's name is woman. So God wanted the earth to continue. And once a woman realizes that she's better than a 401k, she's better than any benefit you could get from any job, right? She is the continuation of humanity. And once a woman realizes that, her self-efficacy starts growing. And getting to your question, yes, domestic violence is huge. Going back to what Brittany said, not knowing how to love within the walls is the problem. But then going back to what I said, the breathing of your humanity causes you to hurt. The lack of breathing, let me put it that way, of your humanity causes you to hurt another. So in order for us to empower women and even empower men, we have to understand that we all have value. And for those women out there now who are hurting, I say to you, seek help. Seek help. Contact Brittany. Seek help. Find out your worth and your value. And if no one has ever told you who you are, I say and confirm right now, you are worth living. You are a benefit to the earth.
Awesome, great. That was a very nice. Dr. Kala is clapping. Ram, quick comments. The most person who made comments this session, but good one. Go ahead, Ram.
No, I mean, people are complaining about domestic violence. For me, love has increased within the walls. You know, my wife had more understanding, more, things that got done, which we were not doing for the last 15 years. We started cooking together. We replaced the furnitures in home. We replaced the furnishings at home. We changed our appliances. We shopped together. We went and picked up everything by hand. And we designed some of the things which we did not do. We finished some of the home works that we did not do. So the relationship has actually blossomed more than last 15 years than during this pandemic. There's no need for the domestic violence at all. I mean, because we have a
Absolutely.
good understanding, if we have
Absolutely.
assignments to do. We cook together well, and we shop together, we purchase the things together. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
it has been
Absolutely. No.
the opposite for me. I mean, I think
Very,
people
very
like you.
well said. Yes,
Yeah,
no, very well said. And I think that's majority, predominantly what pandemic did was bring families closer together. The vacation that they never expected, you know, be at
oh
home and
yeah,
work from home and be with
vacation.
family, eat
One
together. Like
year
even now, I don't want my kids to go back to school. I mean, I would love to have lunch with them, cook for them at 11:30 when they come out
yeah,
of their online class.
we
So
have a
definitely.
family moved from California to here 10 years or 15 years ago. They did everything homeschooling to their kids. They have 8 kids. They did the homeschooling. They said, we were asking, why are you not sending them to school? You don't understand the beauty of homeschooling. It's like a vacation for our family. Now we see that.
Definitely.
They were right.
Yes. Britt, you raised your hand, and then I'm going to go to Daddy and Uncle G for a question. Go ahead, Britt.
Yeah, no, so my practice, we deal with a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of narcissistic abuse, a lot of emotional violence. So it's a topic that's dear to my heart. So, right now, anxiety and fear and isolation is at a heightened situation. So if you are in that situation, there is help. We've got a community that we've started that's free, that's stronger together to get really good resources. It impacts your brain. I do a lot of brain health and managing your thoughts. And so if you are experiencing that, you're not alone, and it is real. So there is help. So I just wanted to say that. Sorry.
No, definitely
Yeah.
it is real. We've seen that. So, Daddy and Uncle G, I have a question for you. So, so Uncle G is going to come back to us. But Dad, the question to you is, so people are always waiting to retire, right? So that they don't have to do anything, they don't have to do any work, they can just stay home, eat properly, and rest and relax. After this question, I'm going to go to Dr. Kalai and Mike for a team tag question. So Dad, the question for you is, why are you still volunteering? Why can't you just stay home? You can speak. You're on mute. Go ahead.
See, the age is not due to the outer body, it is due to the mind. So even at the age of 90, lot of people have achieved a lot of things. Especially in Paris, that tower which was constructed when that engineer was at the age of 99, and that Eiffel Tower was constructed. So there is no limitation for the achievement with the age like that. Even at there recently, one lady, nearly 100, she got graduation in the college like that. So the age is not limiting anybody to work, only the mind and the activity like that. Those days, there is limitation to the ladies or girls. They should not go to the college, they should not study like that. Now it is opportunities are equal to all in most of the countries. And Gandhiji said, when a lady get educated, it is equivalent to a flower giving gold flower giving smell like that. When we make a flower out of gold, and if that flower gives aroma, good aroma, that is equivalent to a lady getting educated. Like that, Malala also she worked hard, she fought for the education of the ladies. Nowadays, the ladies are improving, and even in the colleges and the schools, ladies are getting good ranks than the boys. Everywhere in the country or every part of the globe, the first rankers are mostly ladies because they concentrate more than the boys, and the boys they are loitering here, there, like that. So accordingly, for women empowerment like that, now the chances are there. Education is required, and they are given the opportunity, and they are going ahead. And nowadays, the ladies, some of the countries, the even the rule is under the ladies. So the education will be molding the more and more, and in future, I feel lot of men have to be under the ladies, and they are going to be the queen of the world or queen of the globe like that.
Name the person who became the first practicing doctor from your family.
So you, but everybody knows in our place.
So
Not only doctor, but guide. You are giving guidance and you are, doing a lot of good services to the community. Besides your education and your professional work.
and it's because of you. So I want to thank you and appreciate you and acknowledge you for allowing me to stand on my own feet. And guys, I went on a fast for 1 week to go and get my doctor education because ladies were not educated many years ago. And my dad listened to me and put me into medical school. I didn't give him an easy life after that, but hey, look, we are here after all these years talking to each other. So thank you so much, Daddy. Uncle G, coming to you. Uh, why are you still working? Why are you still volunteering? Why are you still educating? Why aren't you just relaxing because it's your retirement age? Uncle Ji, can you hear me?
All that,
I never wanted to retire.
Go ahead, Uncle Ji. We can hear you.
all that I have learned in my life, and I find all that what is useful makes me go, makes me continue to share it with others. Age notwithstanding, my mental faculties, my memory, everything is intact. And what I have learned, what I have gained, what I have experienced needs to be shared. And it gives me enough courage and physical endurance to go on and on and on.
Very well said, Uncle Ji. I love taking your yoga classes. You've given me that, flexibility which I didn't have much earlier, 4 months ago. Every Sunday I wait and I ask my child, "Can you come and join?" And she's like, "No, yoga, mommy, please," and she runs away. But I've enjoyed Uncle Ji's instruction every Sunday at 8 to 9. If you all are ever interested, he does an excellent instruction and for yoga and meditation. So if you all are ever interested, please do reach out to him. He
Is that a medication or meditation?
Meditation. I said meditation. Ram, go ahead, Uncle Ji.
I am also enjoying it.
Very nice. Yes, he makes sure. No, Nazeera. He'll say, "Nazeera ji, bend, bend. No, you can do better. Bend." I used to feel so embarrassed, but then he made sure we did the right postures. So thank you for that.
Once I was running a race in the ground. It was probably 200-meter race. And I was at third or fourth place. And I suddenly heard my coach telling, "Buck up, Jagdeep, come on, you can do it." And I stood first.
Yes, yes. The support.
That buck up, that I've never forgotten that buck up sound.
The moral support. I think he was talking about the moral support and the push that we get from our family. And I again do want to acknowledge one of the sponsors of this, Dr. Xavier Roche, who has helped us to continue and believe and give us that moral support. Nazeera, go ahead. Your team is doing great. Good job. So it really helps us with that. The next, so Dr. Kalai and Mike, let's talk about meaningful life. Are you living? How do you know you're living a meaningful life, right? And if are you doing things that you're passionate about? Mike, you have to unmute yourself.
I think the answer is wisdom. But yes, I'm retirement age. I've been retired for a number of years. The first couple years was repairing my damaged body, and I still have some of those to be addressed. But I give back, and that fills my heart. It's something that keeps me moving. It's something that I look forward to doing. I'm going to be 73 in a couple of weeks, and we went to the lodge yesterday, and we were supposed to work from cleaning, doing some cleaning from 10:30 to 12:30. We got there at 10:30. I left at 3:30. and I was moving boxes, carrying stuff up ladders to put in the storage. I think I worked as hard as my 30-something-year-old buddy, but it just fills me with joy to see, he and I had to clean the kitchen. It's his year of working in the kitchen, and it's my year of assisting him in the kitchen. When we did, had that done before he got there because I went with another buddy. But when he got there, he said, "Let's go do the kitchen." I said, "I already got it done." He says, "Well, what next?" I says, "Well, I don't know." He says, "Well, how about let's go fix in the secretary's closet?" There's a little area off the lodge. We cleaned it up, and I'm sorry some people don't believe in God, but I do. You know what? You know what the benefit of cleaning up that little room was? I've learned that our Royal Arch chapter was dissolved. We started it up again. I found all kinds of documentation for both that part of our lodge and for the step above that. So we now have more history in the lodge than we did before. And that all that came from was moving some chairs, throwing out some trash, and putting the room back together again differently.
Very well.
So I get payback from that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, and here's another example. I went there with $20. I put it in I put it in my pocket where I keep my keys. I yanked my keys out a couple times. When I got ready to leave, I couldn't find the $20. Got out of my car. I get out of the car. Then when the fella dropped me off, reached for my keys, and my thumb slid inside the top pocket of my jeans. Guess where the $20 was?
In your jeans.
In the top pocket of my jeans, not where I had put it.
Right.
It was a gift. It was a return. It was something, and I'm sorry, Rem, but it's something God gave me.
Definitely. Very, even the smallest ones that you appreciate when you lose it, and then they say usually you value something when you lose it, right? So something like that,
Yes.
even in relationships and in many
know,
Is
things.
it that Mike has put the bill first there itself to start with?
Let me. I may have, yes. I may have, yes.
Ram
But
is a distractor for us in a good way.
but let me. I want to say one other thing.
Yes, please.
It's about strife, and it's about marital strife. I'm a musician, and I love music, and I learn. I heard Leon Russell sing a song once, and I thought, good gosh, whoever let that man think he can sing? But I went out and I saw one of his albums, and I bought it when it was in records. And there's a song he wrote called Masquerade. You've probably heard it before. But in that song, he questions himself about these marital problems he has, or relationship problems that he has. And he has one line in there that says, "I don't want to give up." That line says, "Thoughts of leaving disappear every time I see your eyes." I think if husband and husbands and wives have problems, all they have to do is stop, take a minute, sit down, and ask each other, why did we marry? And I think that's a good part, one of the best ways to refocus your energies instead of yelling and screaming, but to find how we can work together again. And I think that applies not just in marriage. I think that applies to every situation.
And especially if you can have chai during the discussions, right?
Yep.
Yep.
But it's in my Detroit Red Wings hockey cup.
Yes, hockey
Yeah,
cup.
my chai has become,
Cold.
cold.
So we are
It's
taking.
frozen.
So Ram, we're taking 10 more minutes to end because we started
Yeah,
10
I
minutes.
just want one point to make to
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Mike said, "Sorry, Ram, you don't believe in God, but I do." But question to Mike: Mike only believes in his God, but he is also an atheist because he does not believe the remaining gods. His only
Oh
God is
no, I
real.
do. I
Same,
do.
Yes, he said he
I
does.
same.
do.
Oh, he does. But still, you don't believe in Buddha. You don't believe that 33 million gods that Hindu religion has. So still, it makes you an atheist. Because you don't believe in. Everybody is an atheist because they don't believe in 99 other gods except theirs. So that is the only point I want to make.
So Ram,
Well,
so Mike,
but you would be wrong in this case.
so Mike believes in
I'm
nature.
okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay, looks like Mike believes in being good, and I think every faith sort of teaches that to be good, right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, see, and Mike. So yes, that 1 second. So I'm going because the question was also asked for Dr. Kalai. How the meaningful life, right? Sometimes you have to make meaning. You wanted to do this. Your passion is this, but you never get to it. So at some point, you have to decide to take action. So have you experienced that? That by only taking action, you are able to build a movement or a social movement, or by taking action you can't just keep saying in words, you have to get into action. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. See, actually, as a dental professional, whenever the patients come to our clinic, they used to smoke, and because of that, they are having lots of stains in their mouth. We used to instruct them not to smoke or not to do any betel nut chewing like that. But whenever the patients are coming to our clinic, only we are instructing them. But that will help only the society in a very, very minimum way. So we have to reach the society. We have to do some social welfare activities. Then only all the public will be benefited. That's why our tobacco free society movement also. That idea was initiated in that type of thought only. So I feel that that is the way to do the activities.
Okay, very nice. So you have to get into action to actually make a difference. Yeah.
And one more thing I would like to add related to today's topic, that knowledge is just gaining the facts from the books or any materials, but the wisdom is how we are applying to benefit the society, to benefit all the living creatures around us. That's what
Practical.
I feel.
How to put it in practicality.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Putting it into practicality. So very well said. The taking action, right? So when you see something going wrong, do you just sit back and say that's not my problem, or do you actually take action and protect the society and protect the environment? So definitely taking action to be intelligent and also being mindful of taking that action up. So the final question I have for Britt and Maya is let's talk about patience and holding grudges. So I'm sure throughout our life, we've gone through several relationship damages, whether family or outside, at work or career, professional life. As women, we tend to hold grudges at some point, right? And that disturbs our sleep, our peace, our interaction with our family members. How do you let it go? Can you talk about why patience is important, not to respond to every one of the question from one of the attendee was she was very hurt by someone who she was very kind to. How does she deal with emotions that come with the friendship betrayal? So, but I think this is something that every woman goes through at some point in life. Can you all talk about it briefly, and then we'll go to closing comments, please, both of you.
Okay. You want to go first, Britt?
You could go first.
Okay. Well, let me just start off by saying that we not only have a womb in the lower part of our bodies, but we have a womb in our hearts and in our minds. And so we were intuitively created, crafted just like that, so that we could have that intuition to pick up on negative energies. So if our child cried, or if we hear another child crying, we automatically, even our body works with our milk even expresses during the moment. So everything about us is one big womb, right? So the womb is designed to incubate. It's to provide shelter and care. So when we get into relationships with people, they come all the way in us when we allow them. And what happens is, because we love deeply, we can also hurt deeply. And as we're hurting, if we don't learn how to deliver that baby, so to speak, deliver that pain, get rid of it, issue it out of our womb, the womb of our mind and our hearts, we'll carry that hurtful baby around forever. So it's very important that we learn how to talk to professionals, talk to God, talk to people we love and care about, get all of that out of us so that we can walk around free. And we have to be patient with ourselves as we're going through it. We have to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes I just grab a pillow and I scream because I can't scream at the person that hurt me, right? But I get it all off of me so that my womb can be free to receive good energy.
Very well said. You almost had tears in my eyes. Thank you for those words of wisdom. Britt?
Yeah, so, well, there were a couple of things I'll touch on. One, you said, how can we forgive? And forgiveness does not mean that you trust someone. If someone does something that is against a boundary for you, it's okay to say, you know what, that's a no-go. However, release it and have a really strong boundary with that person. I look at people based on their emotional age. Not every person has compassion and understanding. Not every person has learned how to really understand who they are. And so you can get into a relationship and the person appears to have integrity. However, after time, you discover that they don't. So when you can learn how to be that safe place for yourself and forgive that person, that doesn't mean, like I said, that you trust them. However, you can still be around that person with understanding and ask, how can I serve you? And see what they ask. It's typically someone that lacks integrity, that manipulates, won't know how to ask you. And you just listen and know what's okay with you. That would be my other thing. And then really for women to learn to trust yourself.
Good.
Really know what okay and what isn't. And if you fall and you make a mistake, get back up and have a group of people around you that you can depend on. We are emotional beings. Just like we need air and water physically to live, we need relationships and connections. So that would be my thing is, one, learn how to connect with yourself and then connect with others and have a kind mind, guys. Like we're not supposed to be, we're gonna make mistakes. It's just, what do I do when I fall down? Who do I turn to? Can I turn to myself? And what are my values? What gets me up each day?
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you, Britt. And I think hopefully the person who asked that question has been listening to us and is able to let go and forgive, but also get back up. Yeah. And trust herself first. Yes.
I have a question for Maya.
Yeah.
On a funny note, Maya said that she talks to her God, but does her God talk to her ever? I was just wondering, is that a he or she when they talk to back, talking back to her?
Dr. Maya Ram is like that,
I love him. I love him. And to answer your question, absolutely.
He talks back to you?
Yes, he does.
Okay, all right.
Well, and I'll touch on that for me as well, because for me, my having that personal relationship.
I just want to make sure that it's not delusional, it's real, practical,
No,
right?
Ram, it's real. Ram, listen, you're being that troublemaker with a capital T. Usually I used to be that. See, she already loves you and she's throwing kisses at you. So yes, she understands you. And I'm so glad the octopus gang today have learned so much from each other. And we extended our arms so much that we learned, and gave, and we shared with others as well. I just want to continue to wish all of you the best of the best, the happiness, the joy, the peace, the health, and the wealth that you all deserve. and continue to share your knowledge. At this time, I would like for you all to go with closing comments, and thanks for sticking with us in the beginning when there were some glitches. Now we've gotten over it, and that's why the little bit delay. But Dr. Maya, I'd like you to start with closing comments, please, and each of you, I'll name you.
I just like to close with a charge. Let's do life together because it makes it worth living.
It's a
Very
pleasure.
nice.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, pleasure. Ram and Maya should definitely connect even after. So thank you. Mike, how about you? Closing comments, please. And you can make it more than 10 seconds also. 15 seconds.
I'll cut it short. I grew up in a home in Detroit, Michigan, with 4 generations. My brother and I, my mom and my dad, my grandmother, my dad's mother, and my dad's father, and my grandmother, my dad's mother's father. I learned to speak 5 languages. We spoke German, Russian, Lithuanian, Polish, and English. English, of course, was always spoken outside the home. As immigrants, my grandfather instilled that one lesson to me in a very specific way, not part of this conversation. But I just want people to understand that we all come from different generations. We all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different ways of looking at things. But we all think in the same way. So we can come to the conclusions in the same way. Let's sit down and talk about it. Put aside our differences for 15 or 20 minutes or 2 hours like we have today, and let's talk about it. Thank you.
Definitely. So, Mike, can we do that with chai?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So awesome, great. So my next, thank you so much, Mike. I was going to call out on Uncle, but I think I'll wait for him to come back. Dr. Kalai, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, as Gilji told previous question, the wisdom is given by the Almighty, the Lord. So what we have to give back to him is the service to society. And I always believe knowledge is power, and wisdom is the supreme power. So let us all try to have wisdom to the community, to even way everyone around us.
How many wisdom teeth did you extract this week?
I expected more than 5.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So did you enter in the Guinness Book of World Records or Limca Book of Records?
Will it go into Guinness Book? So, Ram, you're making it funnier. Dr. Kalai, do you impart wisdom to anyone who removes their wisdom tooth?
No.
You should. You should take an opportunity to say this is what we wanted to learn by removing this tooth. Yeah. But thank you, Dr. Kalai. It has been a pleasure having you with us today, and we wish you all the best in your practice and in your social movements as well. Ram, your closing comments. Thank you. Yes.
It may not be short. Yeah, it may not be short, but Mike, you got to bear with me. We are in a world, of different culture, different societies, and different things. But we all came from one place, Africa, and we all owe to that place because that is the place where the human evolution started and evolved. Going forward, that there are things that people may not like it in what happened in the last 2,000 years ago. Believing certain things that happened in Egypt and went to Europe and went to India, and becoming stories, and they created gods out of those stories. And it all turned out to be a human product. Who created this? Humans created this. It's only humans who has all these gods or any beliefs or any system. But when you get out of that chain, does a animal have a god? Does an animal have a belief system? Does a bird has a belief system? So no. So we're all part of this nature, though. So that's the main reason that humanism accepted. Dr. Richard Dawkins said in his book, The God Delusion. If you're talking to God, that's fine, but the God is talking back to you is something that you have to visit your doctor. So that's another thing that I just wanted to remind. So that's all. You know, I mean,
Ram, Ram,
I love humans, and I love everybody. I want to connect with everybody. I want to share everybody's experience. I want to listen from them, and I also want to help them if they want to listen to me.
One
Ram,
question.
Mike. Yes, go ahead, Mike.
One question, Ram. Who created what's behind you? That you don't have to answer it. Think about it.
I don't have to think about it. I'm a physicist. Higgs boson experiment, if you understand, I can send you a good video on that from the great scientist Leon Litterman, who is the one who created that goddamn particle. He's writing the essay. So I can send you his video.
I'm glad
Stephen Hawking said, "There is a God."
No, Stephen Hawking did not say I have to design.
Yes, he did. It's in the book I have of his.
Let's
An autographed book I have
My
of his.
action step is to get Mike and Ram separately, along with Dr. Maya and Britt, in another conversation to continue this. Definitely.
We can talk about that one.
But the best part is we continue to talk, and I think
Yeah,
that's what
I
that's
love
what we
humans.
want.
At the end of the day, I love humans. I love everyone. And I thank my parents to put me on this planet Earth. That's all.
Very well said. Yes, definitely. And we, yeah, see everybody thumbs up. So definitely great. Jagjeet uncle, closing comments, please. Jagjeet uncle, can you hear us? Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. We just want closing comments before we close out. Uncle Ji, can you hear us? Okay. So we're going to come back to him. But
Britt, in meditation looks like.
Uncle's doing meditation. Uncle's doing live meditation. Britt, did we get to you for closing comments? I might have missed it.
No, not.
Okay, please do. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, one, and I do want to say this to you, Ram. I believe everyone that we meet is a teacher. So I love that you have your belief system, and we all have our different beliefs, because I think that's just great. And so my closing comment would be this. So I do brain health coaching. And so for me, I'll ask y'all a question is, do you believe that you can always control your first thought? And the truth is we cannot always control our first thought. And so
is that a question for me?
No. It's just a comment. Yes.
Right. And so we're either living in this state of fear or faith, or worry and anxiety, or love and compassion. It's a choice. And so if I can't control that first thought right now, like our worry and our fear, and it's just heightened, if I can't always control that first thought, what can I control? And what we can control, guys, is our second thought, and then our third thought, and then our fourth, and then we get that trigger again of worry and anxiety. So it's really learning to ground yourself in your belief system and your values, so then you can show up and really love well. And then the last thing that I'll say is, I ask my clients often, what are you grateful for? And people say family and all that, and I say, yes. However, what I want everyone to be grateful for is choice, because it's our choice. We're either showing up in fear and worry or anxiety, or we're showing up with that intentionality of saying, okay, this is my belief system, and I'm going to show respect and compassion to everyone, and live life and have fun, guys. We got one life, we all have this moment. So that's just what I want to live, is positive thoughts.
I say the same thing. It's just one life. Let's live it happy. Yeah, Britt, very well said. Jagjeet uncle, can we come back to you for closing comments? We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I just enjoyed everything I could hear to listen to so many wise people, but I lost my connection, my network.
It's okay. We continue to hear you. That's fine. We've had several glitches today.
I'm grateful to everybody who was participating or given out their experiences, their knowledge, their wisdom, and I am obliged. I'm grateful to all of you for having given this chance to me, and to God, of course, for making it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Sastrikalji. We appreciate you. And I'm coming on to the yoga class for next Sunday. Thank you so much, Uncleji, for taking the time.
Everybody and Nazeera.
Yes,
I look
thank
forward
you.
to.
Yes, thank you so much. Daddy, final closing comments from you.
See, when we move with rich, we cannot become rich. When we move with rich people, we cannot become rich. But when we move with wise people, we can become wise. Like when we have wealth or money, if we divide or if we share, it will shrink or it will be coming down. But when we have knowledge and we spare with others, or if we divide, it will multiply. Knowledge always expands. Wealth is always shrinking when we divide. Like that, when the world is after the money, each and everybody is after penny. Here is a group, octopus group, which is not for money, but for knowledge, for wisdom, for the well-being of the world. So it's a each and everybody in this octopus group, and of course, we gained a lot of knowledge, and even though we didn't get any penny, but this is the model, or this is the pilot for the wise people. So thank you all, and I appreciate this group to continue and do a lot of wonderful things for the world, and we can make a very new world, not giving importance to the money, but to the wisdom and the wiseness and the knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daddy. We appreciate.
Mike, you owe me that Stephen Hawking's comment.
Stop now. Mike, he's just teasing
Tell me
you.
the proof. Where did you say that? I need the proof.
Mike, calm and relax. I was teasing you. You both are great guys. You all did good. I just want to read out this paragraph that I had noted down from one of the literature search I was doing on wisdom. And I want to thank each one of you and all of those who are listening to us today. Sorry apologize for the glitches in the beginning. And we hope you have stayed so far. The sessions are recorded, so it will be edited with any glitches to make a perfect video session. So we bring that to you. Client chats, just chats are every month. Again, as we discussed, sensitivity, empathy, compassion, and the dialogues along with child. So that's what it's all about. There's no cost to participate. We've been doing in-person sessions, but the last 1 year we've been doing online sessions. And at some point we'll get back to in-person sessions. And the sponsors are, of course, the mentorship always has been sponsoring the Time Just Chat sessions. And this specific session is also sponsored by Dr. Xavier Rose, so we appreciate him. So much, Daddy. We appreciate.
Mike, you owe me that Stephen Hawking's comment.
Stop now. Mike, he's just teasing you.
Tell me the proof. Where did you say that? I need the proof.
Mike, calm and relax. I was teasing you. You both are great guys. You all did good. I just want to read out this paragraph that I had noted down from one of the literature search I was doing on wisdom. And I want to thank each one of you and all of those who are listening to us today. Client chats, just chats are every month. Again, as we discussed, sensitivity, empathy, compassion, and the dialogues along with child. So that's what it's all about. There's no cost to participate. We've been doing in-person sessions, but the last 1 year we've been doing online sessions. And at some point we'll get back to in-person sessions. And the sponsors are, of course, the mentorship always has been sponsoring the Time Just Chat sessions. And this specific session is also sponsored by Dr. Xavier Rose, so we appreciate him. Please give me 1 second to read this out. I hopefully think that it covers everything that we've discussed. Wisdom always ends up siding with virtue. Whatever is honest, good, courageous, brave, selfless, mindful, lawful, humble, kind, gracious, righteous, etc. True wisdom always helps the poor, gives grace and mercy, comforts the widow, protects the orphan, grants justice to the truly oppressed. So with that, continue to spread the love, the wisdom that you shared today. I definitely want to acknowledge my dad today. Thank you so much, Dad, for giving me the education. I've made you cry several times, and I'm sorry, but you know what? Things happen, life happens, and those who love always come back together. So you've given me that education to stand strong and meet these wonderful people every day of my life. So I want to thank you for that, Dad, and I'm sure all of us are grateful to our parents as well. And continue to, impart wisdom to your children, to yourself. Self-care. Take care of yourself. We appreciate you and thank you for listening in. Be compassionate and be kind. Thank you so much. Take care.
Nazeera,
Bye.
love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Maya.
Bye.
Thank you, Nazeera. Thank you so much.